Every story has a beginning and an end. For Cleveland, it started with a kid from Akron. He came with promise, he delivered greatness, he brought us glory, and he gave us a moment we'll never forget. Now, maybe, just maybe, this is the final time. One more game, one more roar, one more night under the lights of the land. Witness the final chapter or the beginning of forever. Don't miss history. Be there. Welcome to another edition of the It's Cavalier podcast. It's your boy, Mac. And tonight, our Cleveland Cavaliers took on LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers. And ladies and gentlemen, the nostalgia was in full effect tonight. I mean, truly, it was on full display. Rocket Arena, check. The Cleveland Faithful, check. LeBron James, check. Bronny, check. Throwback Navy uniforms. It was all there, and it made me feel some kind of way. Not gonna lie. My friends and fellow Cavalier faithful, I'm not saying this is the reality, nor do I truly know, nor does anybody else. But there is a heavy possibility that this could very well be the final game LeBron James suits up in Cleveland at Rocket Arena. We cannot tell the future. Now, obviously, there has been a metric ton of speculation centered around LeBron's future with LA. And quite honestly, his future in the NBA in general is in question. We've seen a gazillion things being said about whether or not the Lakers actually might push for a trade prior to the deadline, a potential reunion with the Cavaliers later on down the line for a retirement tour, or retirement itself. So much has been said, and LeBron and the Lakers have been very quick to shut these types of things down. And I get it. Really, honestly, the Lakers are still very much entrenched in a struggle in the Western Conference and for what could eventually be one last playoff push with LeBron James at the helm beside Luka Doncic. But in the event that this is the final time, the last time we get to see him suit up here, I know going into this one, I just knew it. I had to mentally prepare myself because I've been watching this guy play basketball for well over 23 seasons now. That is longer than some of you who may be watching this stream have been alive. That's how long this motherfucker has been playing basketball. Suffice to say, the magnitude of the moment was not lost upon me at all. Now, in a broader sense, these are two teams that came into today fighting for seeding in their respective conferences. Los Angeles at 28-17 entered as the fifth seeded team out west, and Cleveland at 28-20 entered as the fifth seed in the Eastern conferences. Both conferences are separated by razor thin margins in the top six. LA entered as winners of 5 of their last 10, and during that stretch, we've honestly seen some very, very high-level basketball from the likes of Luka, who has been absolutely dominant lately as he's averaged over 34 points per game, 7.2 rebounds, 8.9 assists, and he has shot 49.3% from the field, including a white-hot 42.9% from three-point range over his last 10 games. LeBron, to his credit, though he struggled tonight, it was a very frustrating performance for the King. Over his last 10, he is averaging 23.5, 7.1, 6.6 assists, and he has shot damn near 50% from the floor, 49.7% from the field, 34.1% from three-point distance. Then you throw in some role players like Rui, who did not have a great game tonight either, who had been averaging 11.5 and about 3 rebounds. He is a trade candidate right now. He continues to be aligned, or at least attached to rumors involving DeAndre Hunter and straight up swap. He is shooting 47.4% from the field, including 42.1% from three-point distance in his prior 10. And on and on and on, whether you want to talk about Marcus Smart or DeAndre Ayton, who was pissing me off at points tonight. And Cleveland, right? Look at Cleveland. They had been winners of 7 of their last 10 games and 11 out of their last 15 entering today. Each has been playing better basketball as of late. And with Luka Doncic, LeBron James, Donovan Mitchell, and Jaylen Tyson leading and headlining the show, this was bound to be a spectacle, right? At least that's the way I thought heading in. And speaking of Spida, the Cavs' resident superstar has been on a tear recently as he has put up averages of 28.4 points, 5 boards, and 6.9 assists to go along with 1.3 steals while completing 44.8% of his field goals, including 37.4% of his triples. And he is coming off of a 45-point performance against the Orlando Magic. Dude's just been raw. It should also be noted that Cleveland has a 4-7 record versus the Kings since he left Cleveland in the summer of 2018 and a 5-19 record overall. But with that being said, we got a game to discuss. But before we do your boy a favor, smash that like button, subscribe to keep the Cavs coverage coming, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on post-game coverage. So, heading into this game, I was really interested in seeing a few different things from a schematic and a coaching standpoint. Those three things right off the bat: the three-point defense, the Cavs' interior presence, sans Evan Mobley, and Luka Doncic's matchups. Who would the Cavaliers throw out there on the likes of Luka to try and shut him down? That's an impossible task, but nevertheless, it was on my mind. Now, here's the thing. The Cavaliers' three-point defense, much as we all know, has been shit. Absolute shit for most of the season so far. That said, LA isn't exactly a sharpshooting team in their own right. They are 18th in three-point percentage as a unit at 35.2% and just 23rd in three-point makes at 12 per game. Keep this note in mind for the stat that I'm going to drop on you in just a bit. They aren't exactly world beaters from three-point range, but they, like most teams in the NBA, can make you pay for leaving them open or not harboring a healthy respect for the perimeter chops, their capabilities out there. This is especially the case as of late for LA, who has been the third most efficient team in basketball from the arc over their last 10 games. They are completing 39.9% of their threes over the last 10, with Cleveland being at fifth at 38% for what it's worth. So, how Cleveland would defend or how they would attempt to cool off the Los Angeles Lakers from beyond the arc was highly important to me, especially with how great at driving and probing a defense that Luka Doncic is. He came into tonight averaging 14.7 drives per game, which is the 11th most in the NBA, and his 1.6 assists off of drives was 14th in the NBA entering this matchup. Dude's just a deadly driver of the basketball if you let him get into the interior. Now, all of that said, this game could have gone a lot differently had we not gotten a brilliant performance out of Jaylen Tyson. This dude is built for these types of matchups, these prime time games. He just always has this funny way of showing up and showing out, even when the lights are the brightest, and outplaying the opposition. And tonight he gave LA everything that they could handle on his way to 20 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 assists, and including a field goal percentage of 53.3% on 8 of 15 from the floor, including 3 of 7 from three-point range. Jaylen Tyson just did it all tonight, right? Fresh off of being named an NBA rising star, he came into this game with the Cavaliers needing even more out of him due to the recent injury to Evan Mobley. And what did he do? Well, he continued his high level of basketball. It wasn't just the off-ball stuff. We saw some brilliant on-ball creation for others out of him tonight, whether that was getting Jarrett Allen involved in the pick-and-roll game or hitting him off with alley-oops, or just being somebody that Donovan Mitchell to give the ball to and be an outlet and to place himself off the rock at times. Also, Tyson is currently leading the NBA, or he's rather third in the NBA. He's the third most efficient shooter from three-point range. And boy, oh boy, did he showcase that early on. He drilled a number of catch and shoot trays to help the Cavaliers get back into this game after it felt as if LA was going to run away with it in the first half. Now, that said, it was quickly turning into a slugfest in the first quarter as LA got off to a 12-0 run, courtesy of some great transition play and perimeter shot making. Craig Porter Jr., I thought during the early stretch of this game, was pretty damn terrific defensively, even if he was being outmatched from a size standpoint. And I'll tell you what, somebody who frustrates the hell out of me is DeAndre Hunter. DeAndre had probably the best game that we have seen him have in quite some time, finishing with 19 points on 7 of 15 from the floor. That is 46.7%. And he knocked down 3 of his 8 attempts from range. That's 37.5%, which is much better. That said, this man is far too talented to have played the way he has this season, right? nights like tonight, performances like tonight, where he just has his shot going and the shot selection looks actually pretty good. And he's doing some of these other things that you don't necessarily see out of him consistently, whether that be involving the bigs in the pick and roll or getting active on the glass at times, or just simply moving the basketball when you need him to. These things are not done consistently. And that's what pisses me off because he is such a talented player. And you just know that the talent and the ability to impact games at a high level is within his wheelhouse. But it has not happened the way that I think we all envisioned it would. And that's why so many people are on the trade DeAndre Hunter train. And honestly, you can't blame him for that at times. But when this dude plays like he did tonight, it's very hard to see them actually moving on from him and his $23 million price tag. But alas, we need to see this consistently from him. All of that said, the Cavs were also being exploited in the half court in the first two quarters due to their lack of size out there, especially with Evan Mobley missing the first of what could be around 7 to 8 games. So many times we saw LA seal off Cleveland down low and exploit the size mismatches. And in addition to that, they couldn't necessarily hit the broadside of the barn early on. As in the first quarter, they shot a collective 9 of 27 from the field, not 3-point range, from the fucking field. That is 33.3%. No bueno. Now, in the second quarter, had it not been for Jarrett Allen, Dean Wade, DeAndre Hunter, and company working their way into the painted area and on the glass, especially the offensive glass, things could have been much different, which was further compounded by LA getting great contributions from DeAndre Hunter, who was giving Cleveland problems in the half court throughout the first two quarters of this game. But thankfully, Jarrett Allen, much like he has whenever Evan Mobley has missed time, he got active. He was even better as he looked really, really brilliant tonight at points when they actually involved him in the offense. And a lot of that centered around the pick and roll game with the likes of Jaylen Tyson, who was exceptional tonight and just getting the bigs involved. He finished the first half, if I'm not mistaken, with 13 points and 8 rebounds and on a very, very efficient 6 of 9 from the field. And then thank God up to that point, because Donovan Mitchell, although Don would have a wonderful second half, Don was stinking up the joint in those first two quarters, or rather the first quarter. Second quarter, he kind of rounded things out. But in that first quarter, Donovan Mitchell was absolutely struggling. Still, Luka Doncic proved to be a tough man to keep down. Emphasis on that because he had an injury scare due to the floor at Rocket Arena, and he was able to fight through that. And he was damn annoying. He was able to get to the rim at will, and though he struggled to knock down his freebies, as he was just 2 of 6 up to that point, he earned the superstar whistle like we know he is capable of doing. But I'll tell you what, that dude Jaylen Tyson, right? Jaylen Tyson, as I mentioned, he was built for these types of matchups, whether it be knocking down timely perimeter shots. And speaking of that, he has some of the most impactful threes. Like the Cavaliers, when they need to shut down a run or they just need somebody to hit something on offense because everything else has gone cold, Jaylen Tyson is there to save the day from beyond the arc more often than not. And you saw that at times tonight. Whether it be that or drawing charges on Braun and company or getting JA looks off of alley-oops and in the pick and roll, it was just brilliant. He was built for these games. He co-led the Cavaliers in points with Jarrett Allen with 13 apiece to go along with 2 rebounds and 4 assists on a pretty crisp and efficient 5 of 10 from the field, including 3 of 6 from deep up through the first 2 quarters of this game. He was key in the Cavaliers going on a 27-15 run to close the half and take a 57-55 lead into the halftime period. And when you look at some of the miscellaneous stats for these two teams entering the halftime, points in the paint, an area of emphasis for this Cavaliers team, especially without Evan Mobley in the fold. The first game without him, LA won that battle. 32-28, no surprise there. Second chance opportunities in points. I honestly thought Cleveland performed better than I thought they would. They did outscore LA 8-5 in terms of second chance points, but in the fast break, LA did get them, and that's when you saw a lot of those seal-offs with guys like Luka and DeAndre Ayton just getting down the floor at times and getting Cleveland out of position under the rim, and you hated to see it. And then there was turnovers that sucked too at times. But in the second half, especially a sizzling third quarter. The Cavaliers got things kicked off by keeping Jarrett Allen involved early and often. And then we already know Jaylen Tyson was such a huge part of that, really, really responsible for it. And then Donovan Mitchell started to knock down some shots, which is good to see because he, like I mentioned, stunk it up in the first quarter of this game. He began to knock down some shots from the perimeter. Then we got Dean Wade out there drilling triples from the corner. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we can say safely that this team is officially back despite the injuries. Jaylen Tyson dominated. Donovan Mitchell came to life in the second half. Jarrett Allen was really consistent throughout this one, and that's kind of how the Cavaliers have been. When Jarrett Allen's involved and you keep getting him touches, whether that be going downhill at the rim, whether you're getting them out of the dunker spot or you hitting them on alley-oops or in the pick and roll, their DHO game, Jarrett Allen usually is a good barometer for the Cavaliers' success. And so you saw that tonight. Those three, they were huge. DeAndre Hunter, he was huge in this game. Getting Sam Merrill back in the lineup, that was huge for the Cavaliers' movement and spacing out there. These are all key pieces of why Cleveland was able to maintain the level of offense they were throughout this night, right? And honestly, what I kept thinking in this third quarter, we traded for the wing of the future when we acquired DeAndre Hunter, or so we thought. We traded for the wing of the future in DeAndre Hunter, and he was here on the roster all along. The wing of the future appears to be here all along. He being Jaylen Tyson. He has made DeAndre Hunter feel like he is expendable, right? And while I'm not saying that they should ultimately move on from DeAndre Hunter, because honestly, I have mixed feelings on that. What I am saying is that his emergence has lent credibility to the belief, or rather the idea, that the Cavaliers should look to reinvest that money elsewhere into another position of need. Maybe they should reroute that money. I don't know. But performances like tonight kind of ground me, bring me back to earth in the line of thought that DeAndre, when he actually has it going, when he is engaged defensively, when he is actually showing compassion not compassion, when he's actually showing passion for the basketball game out there, that's what brings me back down off the ledge of, yeah, let's get this guy out of here. And so oftentimes to me, it boils down to simply money. $23 million in salary. That's a hefty chunk of change to be paying to a reserve, because DeAndre is coming off the bench at this point in time. And for the way that he has played this year, the justification for moving him means, it's there, right? When you have the emergence of Jaylen Tyson, when you have Sam Merrill playing the best basketball of his career, when you have Dean Wade contributing like he is, when you have Naquan Tomlin bursting onto the scene, throwing fucking windmill dunks out of nowhere, right? It's so easy to sit here and envision a post-DeAndre Hunter world if you are a Cleveland fan. And I honestly can't tell you how the Cavs brass feel. I don't know what the future holds for the likes of DeAndre Hunter in the wine and gold. But what I can tell you is this. Jaylen Tyson's emergence, Sam Merrill being who he is, Naquan coming to life out there and taking advantage of every opportunity that he has gotten. All of these things, Dean Wade, right? Dean Wade playing very impactful basketball. All of these things have led to me believing that life after DeAndre Hunter will be just fine if you decide to go that route. Again, that's not me saying they should, but that is me buying into the belief that if they decide to go that direction, I can live with that, even after being so high on DeAndre Hunter entering the season. Because in the NBA, life comes at you fast. I mean, boy, oh boy, does it. I don't think anybody, and listen, I love Jaylen Tyson. I'm a huge believer in Dean Wade. I love Sam Merrill, but I don't think anybody could have told you or prepared you for the emergence of all three this year and them doing what they have done for the better part of the season, especially Tyson and Merrill. It's just been a phenomenal watch. And I hope that they continue that trajectory, because it's just been so phenomenal to see play out on that hardwood. All right. All three of them, huge contributors in the Cavaliers, outscoring LA 42-22 in the third quarter as they drilled 7 of 11 from three-point range. And if you weren't aware, this was actually their this is a 12th 40-point quarter of the season. They have put up a 40 spot plus in 12 individual quarters this year. That's fucking crazy. LA just did not have enough firepower to overcome that type of deficit. You saw it written all over Luka's face. You saw it written all over JJ Redick's face. You saw it written all over LeBron's face as he just was frustrated all night. Speaking of the king, LeBron James, in his return to Cleveland in what could be the final matchup. LeBron was just 3 of 10 from the field, 0 of 3 from three-point range, and he scored 11 points, and he doled out 5 assists. If this is to be the final time we see LeBron suit up in Cleveland, I mean, that's probably going to leave a sour taste in his mouth. Now, whether or not that actually happens, I don't know. That's up for debate. But if that's the final time that he suits up in Rocket Arena, that one's going to sting. And at that point, the "we want Bronny" chants, "we want Bronny," they grew louder and louder and louder. And you guys know exactly what that means. That means BTA belt to as the Cavaliers absolutely dismantled this Los Angeles Lakers team to the tone of 129-99. They beat the brakes off this Los Angeles Lakers team by 30 points. They emerged victorious. And now, sitting in the Eastern Conference standings at 29-20, winners of their last 5 games. By the way, the longest winning streak they have had all season long at 5 games, which is crazy, especially coming off of last season. The longest stretch of games they've won this year is 5. And that is this most recent 5-game stretch. They are winners of 8 of their last 10. They are winners of 12 of their last 16. And they are still the 5th-seeded team in the Eastern Conference. But as I mentioned, the margin is paper thin as fuck, right? Detroit, they're ahead of the pack, 34-11 as of recording this. But everybody else, they're right there. That 2nd seed is up for grabs, ladies and gents. Boston sits at 29-17. New York is 28-18. Toronto is 29-19. And Cleveland is 29-20. Such a small margin. There's a half-game margin between seeds 3 and 5. There is a 1.5-game margin between the 2nd seed and the 5th seed in the East. It's right there for the taking. Hell, the 1st seed is not out of sight. 7 games back as of right now. I'm not saying they'll get there. What I am telling you, though, is that a top 3 seed, hell, top 2 seed is not unattainable. And entering the All-Star break, the games leading up to it, you have a hell of an opportunity to make up some ground here and potentially head into the second half of the season much better than the way the season started. This team is not peaked. They don't even have everybody healthy. We're not at full strength, but yet we're playing some of the best basketball of the season so far. I absolutely love this, man. I absolutely love what we are seeing out of this Cavaliers team as they have fought to overcome so much injury adversity. We know that I think OKC has the most games missed due to injury, but Cleveland is up there, man, and they have dealt with it all season long. They have dealt with injury to core members of their rotation, whether that be Darius Garland, who has dealt with the toe, both toes at this point, whether it's Evan Mobley with the calf, whether it be Max Strus not even suiting up on the damn court yet, whether it be Sam Merrill and DeAndre Hunter and Jarrett Allen and Donovan Mitchell and Jaylen Tyson. Everybody has missed some damn time this season, and they still have overcome it for the most part to be where they are right now. Clearly, this is a much different team than they were last year, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they are worse positioned or they're not as positioned to play high-level playoff basketball than they were. Because one could argue they're actually better positioned from a positional standpoint and from a archetype standpoint. All these contributions you're getting out of these guys, they can translate, save for maybe the exception of Naquan Talman at points. Is that me saying that Naquan won't play playoff basketball? No, we know he's going to eventually be standardized. He will get a conversion. We know that's going to be the case. But even Naquan has things that can translate to the playoffs. That energy, that's some type of shit that carries over that can energize the rest of the rotation. So there's not one player right now that I think can't make an impact in the playoffs for this team. Will everybody play? Absolutely not. That's not going to be the case. There can only be so many. But from a pure makeup, from a pure roster standpoint, I think the Cavaliers are uniquely suited to be better positioned for a playoff run than last year's team. The leg up the last year's team had, obviously, the shot creation, the on-ball creation of guys like not Tyrese, Ty Jerome, and having a healthy Darius Garland for the better part of the season, having so many guys who could dribble, pass, and shoot, right? Having Karis LeVert at times, who we have missed, honestly, at points this year. They had a lot of guys who could create for themselves and for others and a lot of versatility. This year, they don't have that, but what they do have is a lot of guys out there that will hustle, a lot of guys that are energizer bunnies, a lot of guys that refuse to quit, a lot of guys that love the game of basketball, whether it be Jaylen Tyson or Naquan Tomlin or Tyrese Proctor or else. They have a ton of guys that can contribute at a high level. And I still believe in a number of players on this roster who have struggled this year. I'm getting to the point where I just don't know if a trade actually makes sense for this team right now. Listen, I feel conflicted every other day. Like, hey, should they move Lonzo? Should they move DeAndre? Yeah, yeah, you can make justifications for it, but honestly, when you look at possible returns, is it even worth it? A lot of it just seems centered around shedding salary, avoiding the apron taxes, avoiding having your first round pick freezed, all of these things. Either way, either way, there's there still is a ceiling here, and the Cavaliers have yet to reach it. And tonight shows you just good how good they can play even without some of their best players out there. It's not every day that you win a game like this of this magnitude where Don doesn't have to go off for 30 plus. Because Donovan would finish tonight with 25 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists on 9 of 21 from the field. That is 42.9%. Not the most efficient, but far from the worst game that we've seen from Don. He was 3 of 9 from range, 4 of 4 from the charity stripe. But tonight's game shows you that if you won, you lean on some of your strengths, which is your bigs, right? Jarrett Allen, he is still a huge piece of this rotation when you actually get him involved. When you lean on your supporting cast, if you're a Donovan Mitchell, to knock down shots and not try and take it upon yourself too often, good things can happen. The emergence of Jaylen Tyson has made that possible. Now, there are so many people that I've conversed with this season that have told me that the Cavaliers would be better off starting Donovan Mitchell at the point and Jaylen Tyson at the 2. And I push back on that so often. But games like today do paint a picture of, yeah, the Cavaliers can be a high level defensive team when they have it going on. And the thing that has me so hesitant with suggesting that, and I'm not doing that at all. I still believe that Darius Garland is the true starter at the 1. Donovan Mitchell should be the 2. And the 3 is the real question. But I still believe Jaylen Tyson should be the starter at the 3. But where I'm going with this is that in games where Don is like your true orchestrator of the offense at the 1, it really, really makes you feel good to know that Jaylen Tyson has enough on-ball creation, not only for himself, but for others, to get others involved, to take Don's usage down and to take his on-ball responsibilities down a couple of notches. You don't have to always rely on him to create for others. And he can do that. He's not quite as great as Darius Garland is at that. But it does help to know that you can turn to Jaylen Tyson to run and initiate some of the offense. And you saw that going downhill with Jarrett Allen on specific possessions. And the thing that I love about Jaylen Tyson is that he is not only a solid pick and roll ball handler, he's also a solid pick and roll man. We have seen him on numerous possessions and occasions rolling, acting as the screener and rolling to the rim, and Donovan Mitchell holding him, getting the ball over the top for a floater. You saw that tonight at points. You've seen that during this season a lot. And that floater is a real weapon in the arsenal of one Jaylen Tyson. He's just such a versatile guy, whether that be on ball or off ball, and defensively, on the glass, as a facilitator. It's just there. He's all heart. He's all hustle. And you have no choice but to respect what he brings to the table. I love it, man. I absolutely love it. I feel like this team is back. And I think at this point in time, probably no better time than to hop into the chat and see how you guys are feeling, and to stop me from beating a dead horse and just absolutely yapping. So many comments here. I do have to start, however, with Sebastian Ramones for the 279. Appreciate you, man. I appreciate it. You guys never know how much that helps. JT, this is his city now. Be right back. Hopping in Jersey real quick. Hell yeah. Listen, Jaylen Tyson is that dude. He is a dog. And I appreciate him going on a live broadcast in a game where LeBron James and his return to Cleveland is at the forefront, and him literally saying on camera on ESPN, letting people know that this is Donovan Mitchell's city now. That takes some balls. And Jaylen Tyson has quickly endeared himself to the fan base. And this is great. This is absolutely great. Appreciate you again, Sebastian. Let's see here. HJ17 Gaming says Jaylen is a future star, and Dre looked amazing tonight. Hopefully he keeps it up. And that's all it really is with DeAndre, because we know the talent is there. It's just about the consistency. Like, can you bring this level of shot making? Can you bring the on-ball creation? Can you be engaged defensively? Because you have all the physical traits. You have all the physical tools. Can you do this consistently? I don't know. That remains to be seen. The jury is still out. The jury is still out. Kudsky. I don't know. Tomlin is that guy. Yeah. I appreciate the sentiment there, because he surely is. Philly Bandicoot says, let's go. I was down because of the big Mob injury, but this got that bad taste out my mouth. It was good to see Hunter play well for once. 100 all the way around. 100 all the way around on that. Neverbloom says, let's fucking go. Kmart says, Jaylen Tyson is an absolute dog. Ringer Racer says, time to finally bring Garland off the bench when he returns. I disagree, but I understand. I think I just got done talking about this. I understand why people might want to go that route. I'm not bringing DG off the bench. I'm bringing Dean Wade off the bench. I'm starting Jaylen Tyson at the 3. That lineup with Darius, Don, Tyson, Evan, and Allen has been absolutely phenomenal, not only on the defensive side, but the offensive side. The offensive and defensive ratings are off the charts, leading to a very high net rating. Great basketball. But I understand the sentiment, because I think that what people fail to understand at times is that you're not always going to get games where Jaylen Tyson is able to create like he is for others. He can. He is burgeoning as a playmaker, but it's not yet his best skill set. He's still much better off ball than on ball in his career. And honestly, it's less to do with Jaylen Tyson and more to do with Donovan Mitchell. So don't get it twisted. Jaylen Tyson is awesome. He is becoming a star. But I am not a fan of Donovan Mitchell running point full time. I love Donovan. Spida is a phenomenal talent. He's a top 10 player, but he's a combo guard at best. His ideal position in basketball is still a 2 guard. He is not a true floor general. I consistently stand by that. I do not believe that Donovan Mitchell is a 1, and I don't want him starting full time at the 1. I would much rather have Jaylen Tyson at the 3, Don at the 2, and Darius at the 1, because you get the best of all these combined skill sets. You get Darius's orchestration and playmaking. You get Donovan Mitchell's pure bucket getting, and you get Jaylen Tyson functioning as this off-ball cog out there that can be malleable to everything you need, whether that be on-ball creation for others, whether that be off-ball shot making, whether that be rebounding defense. You get it all with Jaylen Tyson, and so I think it makes the most sense to start him at the 3. Ringer Racer also says Jaylen Tyson, baby, or Jaylen baby Tomlin. J. Diaz says, young guys put the national media on notice. Gotta love it. Yeah. All right. You have to love that one. HJ17 Gaming says LeBron was drafted in almost 3. Damn, you young as fuck. As I began this stream by saying, I've been watching LeBron since high school days, right? But honestly, at the pro level, he's already been in the NBA for 23 seasons now. So there are people in this stream that weren't even alive when this man was drafted, or it's just absolutely insane, or weren't alive when he was nationally televised on ESPN. That's crazy to me. He's been playing basketball that long. Some young whippersnappers, and I'm not necessarily an old head myself, but now I'm in my 30s. We all remember what pre pro LeBron looked like. Neverbloom says, facts that was cold. Nicotine says, LeBron ain't never coming back after JT said it's Don's city now. Let's see here. Nolan says, same. I love watching Tomlin dunk. Tomlin was awesome. That windmill dunk he had to close out this game, that was damn awesome to see. Steven Ridgway says, we're so back. Beast Girl says, so many people was trying to drop videos early about that, and that shit was funny. B Scroll says all that LeBron coming back to Cleveland was clickbait because they knew he was playing the Cavs today. LeBron James is done. Honestly, I don't know. My heart is telling me that no, he wants a farewell tour, and my heart is telling me that that will come in Cleveland. But my head tells me that LeBron, he may very well opt to retire after this season. It's so hard to speculate on these things. It truly is. You never know what a player is thinking. And it's not just a player at his point. It's the family, the James family. They have some decisions to make. LeBron has had such a historic career. He's the GOAT to me. I know many people will never grant him that title, and that's fine if you don't have him as the greatest player of all time. But he's certainly the greatest player of my generation. And I'm trying to cherish every single moment that we get him to watch, because there'll never be another LeBron. You don't know Paul. The OG says, I just hope Bron doesn't ruin the team 2 times in a decade. That would never happen. I think that's always been overhyped. If he comes here, it's going to be for 1 year. He does not have the power that he once had. And you're not going to see him be legit, right? You're not going to see that happen here. The Cavaliers will not bend to the knee for LeBron at this stage of his career. It's just not going to happen. Let's check out a couple more here. If Life Spoke says LeBron loves making people speculate. That's his game. That's always been LeBron, right? At the end of the day, it's the NBA is a drama-driven league, and LeBron knows how to navigate these waters. He's always known how to do it. And at the end of the day, that's part of the mystique. That's part of the intrigue when it comes to LeBron, because you just never truly know. Great One says LeBron isn't even the number one in LA right now. No, it's obviously Luka. It was Luka last year too, and that's fine. He's in his 23rd season. If LeBron was the best player on the Lakers right now, the Lakers would have a much bigger problem than what LeBron's going to do with his future. We'll see. Talking Grumman Media says Tim Duncan retire without a farewell tour. Yeah, there was a lot of players, a lot of greats that did, but that's on par. The difference here is the difference between LeBron and Tim Duncan from a personality standpoint. Tim was very much low key. He didn't really live in the limelight like that. He really wasn't the face of the league at any point in time, and he never really asked for all the attention. That's just not who Tim Duncan was, and he preferred it that way. He just preferred to let his game do the talking. LeBron is very much different. Very much different. Duncan he'd rather play the game, get the fuck out of there. You don't care about all that. Some dude on Twitter stalked me, says, yes, we go 10 to 12 deep every night, no less than 10 minutes, no more than 30 minutes. We turn the game into a cardio game to save our undersized guards from getting beaten up. I am assuming this is in reference to another comment in the chat about the rotation. I think I found it. It's from Antonio Gilmore that says, how deep in the bench do we go every game once our main rotation is back? I think that is a great question, and that's a hard one to answer for Kenny Atkinson and the way that he likes to operate. Tonight is harder to judge because the Cavaliers played everybody who suited up, because this was a blowout entering the fourth quarter, essentially, after the Cavaliers had 42-22 in the third. So tonight they played everybody, and nobody played fewer than, I believe, 10 minutes and 40 seconds, which was Tyrese Proctor, who was 3 of 5 from the field, including 2 of 2 from deep. Tonight's performance is going to push his three-point percentages back up, probably shooting around 37% from deep now after tonight's game for Tyrese. That's great. But when you're talking about a full rotation, you're talking about having a full deck of cards. And this is assuming you don't trade anybody, which is still very possible. you're talking about a very, very deep rotation. That's a lot of players. And so I'm pulling up the rotation, or rather the roster in general right now, just to see the names that we're working with. When you really look at this, it's crazy, because you've got Darius Garland. He will obviously play. Lonzo Ball, he's a wild card. We don't know the future. Tyrese Proctor will most certainly not play every game. Craig Porter Jr., honestly, with as great as Craig has been, he is still a toss-up to play once everybody is healthy. Sam Merrill, he is playing every game. Jaylen Tyson, that motherfucker's obviously playing every game. Donovan Mitchell, there's no question there. Max Strus, he definitely needs to play. DeAndre Hunter, that's another toss-up because we don't know what's happening at the deadline, but if he's still here, he will play. And then you get down to Dean Wade. That's a must play, in my opinion. Evan Mobley, no question. Jarrett Allen, no question. Then you have guys like Larry Nance Jr., Thomas Bryant, Naquan Tomlin. This is truly a hard nut to crack, right? It's something hard to try and digest when you're talking about who should be in, who should be out of the rotation, because there's so many deserving candidates. There are so many deserving candidates that should be in this Cavaliers rotation at full strength. And while it's fun and sexy to say, yeah, we'll play 12 deep, or this is a regular season, we'll do the OKC thing, and we'll get everybody at least 10 minutes. Sure, you could go that route. You can even advocate for going that route due to the Cavaliers needing to keep everybody healthy. And if players are playing less minutes, there's a higher chance they'll stay healthy, which is actually something that is good about Lonzo not necessarily being great this year, is that at least he's healthy come the playoffs if he's still on the roster. But I say all of this to say that there is such a big question mark, and I don't even know. Even if you elect to go 10 deep, there will still be deserving candidates who do not play, which sucks, because I've truly begun investing myself in a number of these guys who have been great stories, great breakouts all the way around. Guys like Naquan Tomlin, who didn't play high school ball at the organized level. Guys like Jaylen Tyson, who has been just such a phenomenal breakout story this year, should be getting more love for most improved player. But as a second-year player, understand that those guys don't always get a lot of love. Tyrese Proctor, who should have been a first-round pick. Craig Porter Jr., who entered this season with really big question marks and high level of expectations. And it's on and on, on and on and on and on. But if I had to nail down a 9-man rotation, because I think that's probably what Kenny will let to go with in the playoffs. Maybe he goes 10. You can make a case for 10. I don't think it goes farther than that. In the regular season, yeah, you probably could see 10, because it's 10 to 11, maybe even 12. But you're not going to see that consistently every game. I can guarantee you that. Only if it comes in a blowout, which is possible, but you never really know. If I had to nail it down to a 9-man playoff rotation, though, it's obviously the starting 5 to me of Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell. I do have Jaylen Tyson as my starting 3, Evan Mobley at the 4, Jarrett Allen at the 5. That 5 is non-negotiable to me. If there are no trades, if DeAndre Hunter is still on the roster, DeAndre Hunter is probably my 6th man. You have, in no specific order, Max Strus will play, Sam Merrill will play, and then you get down to the nitty-gritty here. Because that ninth man is such a hard thing to pick. You have so many deserving candidates. Dean Wade is probably who would get the call. But you're talking about leaving off so many other very, very productive players, guys who deserve to be in, whether that be Naquan, who still needs to be converted, whether that be Craig, who's been great this year, whether that be Lonzo, who still brings some intangibles and defensive playmaking, rebounding capabilities out there that could be very important come the playoffs. So hard to pick a 9-man rotation, but I go with that starting 5. 6th is DeAndre. 7 is Max. 8 is Sam, and then 9 is very likely Dean Wade to me. That I understand that gives you no true third guard, like true third guard off the bench. But when you consider the fact that Donovan and Darius will probably be switching on and off, and they'll have their minutes staggered for who is operating the offense, I don't think that matters as much. But it does help to know that you have Lonzo. It does help to know that you have Craig. It does help that you have Energizer bunnies and just energy guys out there, and Naquan and Craig and even TB and Tyrese, right? So many different things that they could throw at people, but I think that just speaks to the pure depth that this team has, and that's a beautiful thing because not all teams have that. There are certain players on this team that are coming off the bench that could start on other teams. I don't know what to say. What else to say in that regard? Ringer Racer says, I loved how Jaylen Tyson said, I'm not afraid of no man. Yeah, that was in reference to LeBron as they asked him, I think, entering the third quarter about his, playing against LeBron, who somebody has obviously idolized. What else? What else we got people saying? Some dude on Twitter saw me says, why would you punish guys to the bench when they have shown they can play? Cavs should play their way and have teams adjust to them. I don't think you necessarily have to shorten the rotation, but I think you will see that happen. You can function as a deeper rotation playoff team, but I don't think you will see the Cavaliers do that. It's just not what has often been done. And no, I'm not saying they have to listen to tradition. They can buck the trends, but I just don't think we'll see that happen. I think we'll see at most 10 players in the playoffs consistently. Now, that does not mean you won't see Kenny Atkinson adjust when you need a switch up. Like I continuously have said this all season. Thomas Bryant will have games in the postseason where you need him, where you need that physicality, where you need that big-bodied backup center out there, especially watching him in the postseason last year. He had times in games where he was big for Indiana last year. I think he will have a series or two where that happens for Cleveland, assuming they have a deep playoff run. You will have games where you need Lonzo if he is still on the roster. That's the biggest caveat. If he is still here, you will have games where his perimeter defense, his gambling on defense, his playmaking, you will have games where that could potentially be a big component. You have games where if you do convert Naquan Tomlin, which I think is a foregone conclusion at this point, where his energy on the defensive end and on the offensive glass will be impactful, but he will not be an everyday rotation player in the playoffs to begin. You have all these different things that you can go to, but I don't think they will all happen in the same games, and that's fine. The true calling, or rather the true show or tell of a coach at a high level is how they can adjust in a game, how they can switch things up on the fly, and how they can react. So reactionary. You have to be able to react at a high level in the playoffs. And I think that essentially finds its way into the rotation even, and who plays in specific games and who won't. And that's fine because you may not need XYZ player in every single game. JPPWC says, Mac, NBA Twitter hates Tyson now. I'm not sure why that is, but or why that would be. I'm not actively on Twitter right now, but I'll definitely have to check that out after seeing this comment. GORVC says Lonzo will play in the playoffs, guaranteed. I think he will too, but this is assuming that he is not traded. There's still no guarantee that by February 5th, he is still on the roster. Am I advocating for that? No. I've always maintained that, one, I wanted this to work out with Lonzo. I still want this to work out with Lonzo, and I've been fair in my criticism of him as in my praise of Lonzo. So what I will say is that I think that it all boils down to whether or not he's still on the roster. If he's here, yeah, he'll play. That's what the Cavaliers were hoping for when they acquired him in an Isaac Okoro swap. Some dude on Twitter stalked me, says, thanks for taking my questions and answering them. I get it. I just think they should try something new. This is on me. No, I don't disagree at all, right? I think that you don't always have to stick to traditional means to get to an end. I think that you have to be able to make the changes on the fly when necessary and pull the right levers when necessary. So often last season, Kenny Atkinson pulled the right lever at the right time. And it worked out tremendously. This year, it's been very, very hit and miss. And I can't wait to see what results are yielded in the postseason. But the Cavaliers have more weapons, in my opinion, more versatility. Maybe not as much offensive firepower, sheer offensive firepower as they did last year because of Ty Jerome being on the roster. But I do think they have more versatility. I do think they have some really, really switchable defenders. I do think they have some high level energy guys out there, high level effort guys, and I do think that there has been a certain infusion of heart into the rotation that you just can't coach, you just can't teach, and that could be invaluable come the playoffs. If, like Spo says, Lakers fans are sensitive, plus people say we need a dog and someone other than Don with no fear. But when someone like Tyson does it, people are sensitive. I mean, you may or may not agree, and not you specifically, you may or may not agree with Donovan Mitchell being, the face of the city, or this being Donovan Mitchell's city at this point. But at this point in time, Donovan is the resident superstar, and Donovan has played up to that level at points throughout his Cavs tenure, really most of his Cavs tenure. He has had some really bad outings, but he's done about everything he could to try and carry this team in tough times. And he deserves that respect. So credit to Jaylen for putting that respect on him. A's says, can we talk about Dean Wade actually taking shots? Yeah, I think I mentioned this. I think that Dean Wade is one of these guys that has been playing the most impactful basketball of his career. He's not always going to take a ton of shots. Tonight he took 5. He was 4 or 5 from the field. Some of those were in transition. Some of those were from beyond the arc. And to me, it's in terms of the pure shot profile, it's just one thing, right? I think the transition offense is awesome, but it really boils down to the 3-point shot in particular for him. And he was 66.7% from 3-point distance tonight. He only took 3 shots, but that's fine in my book, given they came within the flow of the offense. And he may not be totally efficient on the season as a whole, as he's shooting just 32.8% from 3-point range, at least entering today. But you can clearly tell that the other things that he brings to the table, the intangibles, the defense at the point of attack, especially out on the wings, these are things that many other players can't replicate on this roster. And Dean, one of the underrated things he has brought to the table, at least as of late, has been his rebounding. Dean Wade has been a tremendous rebounder lately. I know I pointed this out on Twitter the other day, but in terms of what he has done on the glass as of late, it's just been absolutely phenomenal. It's not like elite by any means, but over his last 6 games, including tonight's performance, this is dating all the way back to that OKC game where he had just 2 rebounds. But if you push this back, let's just say 5 games. Let's just go his last 5 games, including tonight. Dean Wade is averaging 5.8 rebounds. 5.8 rebounds you are getting from Dean Wade. And at least 1 offensive rebound per game. That's what he is averaging. That goes along with 7.4 points during that time, 2 assists, and he is shooting, believe it or not, 65% from the field, including 46.2% from 3-point range. Now, granted, the volume leaves a lot to be desired, just 2.6 3-point attempts per game, but he is 6 of 13 from deep over his last 5 appearances, and he has knocked down 13 of 20 of his last, or 13 of 20 overall from the field. He is a plus 80. Let that sink in. He has been a plus in every single one of his last 5 games. He was a plus 11 against the likes of the Charlotte Hornets. He was a plus 21 against Sacramento. He was a combined plus 31 in the 2 games against Orlando, and he was a plus 17 tonight against the Los Angeles Lakers. I know that he does not get a lot of love, and people are so turned off by how he can look offensively at stretches during specific stretches of games. But Dean Wade is such a catalyst for this team, especially on the defensive end. And making $6.6 million this year, you're not replicating that with anybody you trade. I'm sorry. I know that we entered this season as a whole questioning whether or not he would make it through the year, but I think he's too valuable. Like, literally entering the season. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was entering the season of the belief that Naquan Tomlin, especially after that summer league appearance in performance we got out of Tomlin, I was of the belief that this was Dean Wade's final season in Cleveland. This was his final first half of a season. I didn't think he would make it through the trade deadline, but lo and behold, and this is coming from a Dean Wade fan. I have long been a Dean Wade fan, but I thought the writing was on the wall that somebody else was due to take that role. And guess what? He has made people eat their words, including me, for believing that. And that's a great thing. That is a great thing because it just adds to the versatility of this team, the depth of his team. And I understand he has to stay healthy. He has to be a contributor at a high level come the playoffs because that's eluded him. That has been an elusive thing. He has struggled in the postseason. But I genuinely believe that if this is the version we're going to get in the playoffs, that's an invaluable asset. $6.6 million. One of the best wing defenders in basketball and quite the impactful rebounder. And he's versatile as fuck. Like, you're not replicating that with whoever you trade. It would strictly be a salary shedding move, and it just wouldn't be worth it at that point. Even with Naquan Tomlin waiting in the wings for his opportunity to take on whatever role the Cavaliers want to give him. But this is the version of Dean Wade we need in the postseason because that can be such a valuable piece. Dean, believe it or not, is actually playing the most minutes of his NBA career. Entering today, in 39 appearances up to this point, he had been averaging 23 minutes per game, most of any season. And he's been in the league for 7 years now. He'll be here. He's not getting moved, and he should not be moved. It would be a mistake for Kobe Altman and Mike Gainsey and company to trade Dean Wade at this point in time. And I'll say it. I'll stand on that. I think that's probably a good cutoff point tonight. We've been in here for almost an hour. If you're by chance still here by now, do your boy a favor. Hit that like button. Subscribe if you're not yet a subscriber to the Cavalier podcast. Do the very same for Positive Hooper, my other NBA-based channel. But even if you don't, you know your boy will still be here come rain or shine, win or lose, because I love this team, and I know you guys do too. Go Cavs.